Hi, this is Mrs. Brighton, and Mr. Newberry is here with me, and we are here to talk about some things that are affecting the middle school grade books. Many parents may have seen a couple of things if they log into PowerSchool as parents. They've noticed some changes and they're wondering what's happening with that fourth quarter grade and that final average. And then the state has also done some changes with high school classes, which affects every single middle schooler at Socrates Academy, because our Greek language is a high school level class in 6th grade, 7th grade, and 8th grade. So we need to walk you through those. So first, Mr. Newberry is going to talk about some of the things you might have noticed on your end looking at PowerSchool.
So when you look in your child's grade book, it may look something similar to this. So we kind of want to make sure that you understand what is going to show up on your child's report card in June. So as you can see, the homeroom does not receive a grade. This would be a first semester class and a second semester class. Physical education is year-round, and Miss Brighton is going to be going over the high school credit because that's a little bit of a different area. Now, at the very bottom here, you can see the math grade 7. For math grade 7, there are a number of different options. A number of different grades at the bottom. For Q1, Q2, and Q3. You can see right here, there's a 99 for Q4. What's going to happen, as dictated by the state, is that we are taking the average of quarters 1, 2, and quarter 3. Those three numbers combined will give you this grade here, which is an 88B. So again, the fourth quarter grade is not calculated into the final average. On your report card though, rather than seeing an 88B, you will see a PC19. We'll go over PC19 in just a minute. Back over to Ms. Brighton.
All right, so fourth quarter grading is a little interesting when it gets to high school courses. Now, as Mr. Newberry shared on the previous screen, all of the courses that are considered middle school courses will receive a PC19, which is a passing grade for the fourth quarter. We are not using numbers. However, when we talk about high school classes, which is 6th grade Greek, 7th grade Greek, 8th grade Greek, on top of 7th grade Chinese, 8th grade Chinese, on top of 7th grade Spanish, 8th grade Spanish, and anyone enrolled in Math 1, Math 2, Math 3, or Math 4, those are high school level courses. And the state is asking for students to choose if they would like to use their fourth quarter number score, or would they rather choose to receive a PassFail, which would be a P for pass or a W for withdraw/fail. So if you'll go to the next slide, please. As I stated, this applies to all of these classes here. And so we are going to send a survey to the students, which is actually to you as parents, where you're going to go by each class that your child takes. So for example, my daughter Mary takes Chinese. She takes Greek language. So I would choose for her name. I would go to Chinese, and I, with Mary, get to decide, are we going to take the number average for Chinese, or are we going to choose the pass-fail option? Same thing for Greek language. Are we going to choose the number score that she's received in fourth quarter, or are we going to choose pass-fail option? That's a choice for each class. You can choose a different choice for each class as well. Next slide, please. So if you choose the number, what does that mean? Well, that means that the grade is determined as you see it in the grade book. So whatever the number is there for the quarter 4 is what would show up on the report card. Semester 1 is your first quarter and second quarter, and that's going to remain that average. So S1 is considered semester 1, Q1 and Q2. That number is going to be a number. But the second half of the school year, which used to be S2, which will be your final, since we've decided to go with the numeric option, we would have a number. So on the report card, we'd have a number for semester 1 and a number for semester 2. So on the report card, we'll see an F1 as a number, and underneath it, we'll see another number because we've chosen the numeric option. Next slide, please. But the next option is, well, let's say we didn't want to choose the number because it's not as favorable as we'd hoped. So therefore, we're choosing the pass-fail option. So we choose PC19. So that would mean for, let's say, hypothetically speaking, Chinese, we've decided that for Q4, we're going to choose P or W. And because it's a passing number, it'll be a PC19 on the fourth quarter. Now, the first semester number is still a number because we were in the buildings for Q1 and Q2. That S1 average is going to be a number. However, since we've chosen to use PC for fourth quarter, you can't average a letter and a number. So therefore, that final is going to be a PC19. Next slide, please. When you receive the PC19, you'll still get credit because it was a high school course and you passed it. The second half of your grade, however, is going to say PC19. It's not going to have a number. And if the reason we choose this is to make sure we follow by the state law that you will not allow the fourth quarter to negatively impact a child. Next slide, please. WC19 is also the withdrawal option because a student was failing. Now, a WC19 would come into effect if a child was also failing at the beginning of the school year and the child has made no effort to improve his or her grade. So the teacher would put in the failing grade, which is the WC19. They wouldn't get a number, they would get a W. Next slide, please. So, Mr. Newberry, would you like to recap with the graphic that Mrs. Susie made for us, please?
Absolutely. So, if your student participated in distance learning, then yes, we will move into the average prior to March 13th was passing. If it was passing as of March 13th, you have the option to choose either one, the numeric average. If the grades for quarter 3 and quarter 4 were favorable, that may be the option that you want to take. Or you can choose PC19. That would be if the grades for Q3 and 4 averaged together were not favorable. If your child was not passing the course with quarter 1, 2, and 3 averaged together, then your child would receive a WC19. However, with effort in the fourth quarter, your child can receive a PC19. So if your child with the average of Q1, 2, and 3, it's not passing, we encourage them to make sure they continue working so that they can get a PC19 for the fourth quarter and for a final average. If your child was not participating in distance learning, you will again have the average prior to March 13th with passing. If yes, choose PC19. If no, choose WC19. And again, that's a consideration that you all would have to make. Also wanted to point out that there are 2 grades. The F1 grade at the beginning is semester 1 and 2, and then there's the separate one. So your child gets 2 half a credits, which we're going to go into a little bit more in just a second.
So oh, go ahead, Mr. Newberry.
Here are some terms that you may need to know, or just as a reminder. Again, the numerical average would be the average of all grades by averaging them. PC19 stands for Pass COVID-19, and this was a term created by the NC Department of Education during the closure of schools. WC19, again, stands for Withdrawal or Fail COVID-19 term, created by the NC Department of Education. Of course, the quarter, and there's some examples down here at the bottom of the page. You can see Q1, Q2, Q3, and Q4, and this is what a report card would actually look like, with Q1 being first quarter, Q2 being second, and so on. The S1 semester 1, that's the numerical total of quarters 1 and 2. So as you can see down here at the very bottom where it says NC Math 1, and you can see quarter 1 has a 90, quarter 2 has a 90, that means that first half of the credit would be an F1 and it would be stored as a numerical grade. Now this is the same for every single student. So every child, that first F1 that will show up on all of those high school credit classes will be the numeric value of quarter 1 and 2. The final grade, and you can see in the second one where it says NC Math 1 C19, that is the second half of the high school credit. That is what will either appear as a numeric value that you would choose, or the PC-19, which you can see in the very bottom of the page. The only
So
other
this
option would be the
example, right,
WC-19.
this example shows a student who chose the pass-fail option, and therefore on the report card or on the high school transcript, it will show PC-19 because you cannot average a pass-fail. You would have to choose the numeric option in order to have a number show up as your second final grade. And I believe this is our last slide. Is that correct, Mr. Newberry?
That's the last one.
Okay, so we wanted to thank you. We know that this is different information, unique information, but you all will receive a survey going to you as parents that we would like for you to fill out as soon as possible. We also want to point out that if you do not fill out the survey, the default is that your child is assigned a pass-fail. So the default option is pass-fail. So if you would please talk that over with your child, look at the gradebook and PowerSchool, see what the numeric average right now is for your child in Q4 so that you can determine if you want to do the pass-fail option or the numeric score. You do have to choose it for each high school class. As I talked about at the very beginning, that's your Greek language classes. If your child is in 7th grade or 8th grade, taking Chinese and Spanish, and also your Math 1, 2, 3, 4 classes. Again, it's a choice of yours to make, but we do need you to make that choice. If you do not make that choice, it defaults to pass or fail, so you get the PC-19 option. So look for those surveys and get them back to us as soon as possible. And if you want to ask any questions about that numeric average, please reach out to your child's specific teacher for each of those courses.